Hi, I'm Sam with Sam's Trains, and today I'm going to be reviewing Lionel's brand new Blue Goose Santa Fe 484 Northern. So before we get too far into the review, I want to get a couple of things out of the way. First off, if you go into the description of this video, you will find timestamps if you want to find a certain part of this review, or maybe you just want to go hear how the engine sounds. You can go find that in the description below, so you don't have to watch the whole thing and guess where certain things are in the video. Secondly, you may notice the background here is different, and that's because I'm filming this from my apartment during school. If you know, I'm currently in college and I'm not able to go to my layout whenever I want. I do have a little floor layout here in my apartment though, as all people should have, so I'm going to be reviewing and running this train here. I will do more at my layout at another time, but for now, you'll be able to see this run around here. And lastly, before we get into the review, if you want to follow me on social media and find out when I get more of these trains, because I've already posted about this before, everything will be in the description below. I'll have a Discord channel, an Instagram, and a TikTok. And like I said, I have posted videos about this train on there way before this review has come out. So if you want an insight to new trains and maybe what I'm thinking about getting, then you can go follow those and stay a little bit more notified about what I'm getting. And now let's get into the review of this beautiful engine. We'll start off with a little bit of history about the type of engine itself. Partially due to materials restrictions during World War II, the Santa Fe's 2900 class Northerns were the heaviest type of steam engine ever built. They would also be the last steam locomotives purchased by the Santa Fe for passenger service. Sharing a boiler design with their sister 210-4s in the 5000 class, the 2900s had no trouble handling even long passenger trains at speeds and on grades. Delivered in 1944, the 30 locomotives of this class would be modified early on with roller bearing rods and the Santa Fe's distinctive telescoping smokestacks. Santa Fe prioritized conversion of their premier passenger service to diesel power after the war. The 2900s soon found themselves in freight service and had ample power to get 100-car freight trains up to track speeds without a problem. Retirements came in the late 1950s, with most of the rosters scrapped by the end of 1959. 6 2900s were spared and donated to museums and communities, however. Today, 2926 has been restored to operation and is currently in service. I do not have that one here on hand today. I just have the Fantasy Scheme Blue Goose. But they are beautiful engines. I might have to get a 2926 in the future. If you want to see one, Will 2926, which I'll link in the description below, is planning on getting one himself. Alright, so now let's go over some stats and facts about this model. First off, it is full legacy. You get everything that you would expect out of a legacy locomotive, including whistle steam, Bluetooth control, and all of the changeable sounds that come in the newer legacy engines. The length of this model is 31 1/4 inches. The minimum curve needed to operate this engine is 0.72. Most of the times I thought that engines like these would need 0.54. I thought that most articulated engines would need 0.72. However, this one needs 0.72 and is not articulated. However, on another way, that's not the most surprising either, because it is quite the big engine. When I first unboxed this in the Lionel store here in Nashville at Opry Mills, I was surprised by just how big the engine and the tender were. This is quite the behemoth of an engine, so that is probably why it needs 0.72. However, that is not a problem for me. Okay, let's start off by taking a look at the front of the engine. As you can see, it is very nicely detailed. There's a little bell up here. And by the way, some folks have commented on that blue color being not quite like the actual Blue Goose. And that's mainly because MTH and Lionel used different companies and different paint when they did their version of a Blue Goose. The MTH realistic model of the Blue Goose used different colors than Lionel's rendition of this Blue Goose. That is why the top color sort of comes off as more of a white. It still looks very beautiful. We have a couple of marker lights up here that show up green. We have the front headlight, and this door opens as well to reveal the access to that light in case it burns out, as well as the smoke unit inside here, which there is only one of. That smoke unit also controls the whistle steam smoke effect that is located right behind the smokestack. We'll get to that in a bit. Here up front we have a dummy coupler which can be swapped out for an included dummy O-scale coupler by just removing the screw up top and putting that in there. In the future, if I get a 2926, I will double head these, so keep an eye out for that in the future. This coupler cut bar does not move like on some steam engines, which was a little bit surprising to me, but not a deal breaker whatsoever. And then there's a little bit more detail up here that just makes the front of the engine look very nice. Moving down the side of the engine, there's a legible builder's plate right here that we'd have to really zoom in on to see. There is a whistle, and you can see right behind it the whistle steam smoke effect hole. And then this is one of the coolest part about these engines, and I'm really glad Lionel brought this back. This is actually probably my favorite feature about this engine besides the sounds, and that is the smokestack. Lionel included 2 other smokestacks that you can use on this engine just by swapping them out, and we'll do that in a second. But it's cool because this was actually realistic. Santa Fe was able to swap out some of their smokestacks depending on what the engine was doing or where it was going. Lionel did this on their first run of Northerns, I think back in 2013, and I'm really glad to see this feature back. Anyways, all you do, you just grab the top of the stack like this, and then pull it off. And then there's a little hole on the bottom of these, and you just line that up with the hole on the smoke unit, and then pop it into place. And just like that, you've changed the smokestack on your Northern, and you can just take it off like that, and then you just take your other one and repeat the process just like that. And then if you want to go back to the other one, it's just as simple as taking it and putting it right back on. Pretty cool. Moving further back on the engine, there are lighted number boards on either side, and both the front and side number boards light up. And then down here, this is super cool. I love the detailing down here by the front of the drivers. This is just so cool to see that in motion. I like kind of how this ladder's in front of it. It gives it a little bit more depth, in my opinion. And then this hatch up here pops off to reveal the controls for the locomotive. You have the whistle steam on and off, the main smoke on and off, the Bluetooth on and off, and then your run and program switch. And then there are just a couple of magnets on the back of this that just pop into place just like so. Moving further back on the engine, this hand railing continues to go all the way back. There's a dynamo up here, and then these hoses are really cool. I don't exactly know what they're used for, but they give the engine more depth up top, which is very cool. These hatches back here also open and close just like that. And then there is the 2900 number over here, as well as a little bit of rivet detailing down here on the side. Moving to the cab, you can see more of those rivet details up close. It looks so good. Even though they're cast in, it does look pretty nice. You can also see a painted cab figure in there, as well as curtains for the cab right here as well. The other one you can kind of see is back here in the background, and they look very nice. The cab is also very well detailed. Let's take a look at that. And here you go. Here's a look inside the cab. This firebox does light up when the engine is powered up. You can also see some hand-painted dials and knobs, and you can also see some more cast-in details. It's very beautiful to look in here. This is not the most detailed cab I've ever seen, but it is definitely pretty nice. Moving on to the tender, it is an 8-wheel per truck tender. This tender is pretty large, and I think this tender is also made out of brass as well, but I might be wrong on that. It is an oil-fired tender because that is what the 2900s came with, and it's pretty nicely detailed. The camera may not do it justice, but there's a lot of good rivet detailing that the paint scheme kind of covers up a little bit. On the top there is these 2 grab irons here, and then each one of these 6 pop-up hatches do open. Now, unlike some legacy steam engines, they don't reveal any controls or any sound dials or anything. They just open up and reveal nothing underneath, but it is kind of cool that it still does it, and it gives you the ability to stage maybe the engine refueling or something like that in a rail yard. These tenders also have chains on the trucks that are real chains. You can kind of see them right here. We'll zoom in on them in a bit. Now, I have had one of them pop off, but it's pretty easy just to put right back on. Not that big of a deal. You just might end up opening your box and it may have a chain popped off, but it's not a problem to put it back on and fix. Coming to the rear of the tender, there's an electric coupler back here that fires via the legacy remote. There's a reverse light here that turns on when you turn the engine in reverse. There's a ladder here, the number 2900 on the back, and then you can see that chain up close again, right here. And there you have it. That's a pretty good overview of these brand new 484 Northerns that Lionel released, especially this Blue Goose. I love the paint scheme. It's very nice. It's very different. It's not realistic whatsoever, but it can add some color to your layout. To quote my girlfriend, it's different than all of the black steam engines, which is what she was looking for. As someone who may not model realism stuff and just wants something that looks good, this might be the engine for you. I know some people don't like fantasy paint schemes. They're not my favorite either, but I think Lionel did a great job with this, and it can definitely add some very cool colors to your layout. Anyways, now we've seen the engine, now we've looked over it, let's get it on the track and let's fire it up and listen to it, because it sounds even better than it looks. Okay, we're just about ready to fire it up and let it run. One thing I forgot to point out during my overall view of it was the drive wheels. Specifically looking at this one right here, the cuts in the wheel just look so good. It really ties in the whole thing together. One of my favorite features of the engine besides the smokestacks. Let's go ahead and give it the extended startup sequence.
Turn one brake, man. Let's get an application for continuity test. Good application. Okay to release. Turn one brake, man. We have good set, good release, good continuity on timetable train number 1. Over.
That's a roger. Good set, good release, good continuity on timetable train number 1. Out.
Lionel has really done better with their extended startup sequences and stuff. It is definitely sounding super cool. Okay, you may not see the whistle steam smoke effect very well. I'm not sure how it's going to show up on camera. Anyways, let's give it a listen. This is the whistle it comes with, which is, I'm pretty sure, a Santa Fe 5 chime. Someone may correct me on that. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and it sounds phenomenal. Very cool. It does come with more whistles. The second one is my second favorite. We'll give that one a listen. Also very cool, kind of a deeper tone. Here's the third whistle. And the fourth whistle. The next whistle. Now that the smoke unit is kind of warmed up a little bit more, you can see that whistle steam smoke effect. Let's give a listen to that last whistle one more time. Very cool. Here's the bell. Let's give a listen to some of the crew talk.
Tower, ready to make our pull. Clear to pull east. Over. Sit tight for a minute. We've got some traffic to clear first. Out. Dispatcher, Looking for some railroad. Are we clear to pull south? Over. You are clear through my limits. Out.
And there's also a sound of water filling up the tender.
My water's full. Out.
And here's a steam blowdown effect. And here's a sound of oil filling up the tender.
My oil's full. Out.
Okay, I've got a condensate hooked up. It is definitely not realistic whatsoever, but it's just what I've got. Anyways, let's go ahead and roll it out.
Tower, are we clear through the plant? Over. Clear through the next block at track speed. Out. Tower, are we clear through the plant? Over. Clear through the next block.
Okay, well I hope you guys have enjoyed this review of the Santa Fe Northern Blue Goose from Lionel. This is definitely one of my new favorite engines in my collection. The sound, the way it looks, the way it runs, the way it pulls, it's all just amazing. I couldn't really ask that much more from an engine, especially one at this price. MSRP, this is about $1,800, but if you go through a good Lionel dealer, which there are plenty out there, including the Lionel store in Opry Mills in Nashville, Tennessee, you can get this engine for a pretty good price for what you're paying for. Anyways, that's all for now. I'm Sam, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you guys in the next one. My favorite feature, in case you're wondering, is just the switchable smokestack. It is so cool to be able to left one of these hatches open by accident. Whoops. There we go. Anyways, let's give it a listen.